Hello. I was wondering if I might trouble you for a cup of strong black coffee, and in the process engage you with an anecdote of no small amusement.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of NerdyVerse here at Nerd Herder. I'm J-Dub.
I'm here too. I'm Boop. I was
Yes,
not prepared,
you-
even though I heard the intro music and was fully on the podcast.
You
but
literally
here we are.
used the word professional 30 seconds ago.
I didn't mean it.
Who were you talking about? I wonder. Maybe one of our many guests in their actual podcasts.
Many beautiful guests.
They are taking a break and doing the charitable work of guesting with us tonight, and we appreciate them for it because obviously no one has anything else to do on a Friday night on May 27th.
Right? Like,
Nothing extra awesome.
What's going on?
Yeah, no. No Star Wars conventions in Anaheim that we are clearly not at.
I don't believe in them.
None of that stuff is happening. Look, we decided. I don't know why we decided. I decided I'm in charge of the calendar. Why did you let me do this?
I don't know.
We decided forever ago. We were like, hey, you know that movie we really like? We should celebrate it for its anniversary. And we chose the week that we knew was Kenobi week, but we're like, it releases on Wednesday. Everybody will be bored and need something to do on Friday. And then what does Lucasfilm do? Lucasfilm, confirmed here, is a fan of Nerd Herder because they knew what we were going to do, and they skirted us.
Kathleen Kennedy,
Kennedy, you stole our audience. But
this
you know
is why
what?
She's fired as the head of Lucasfilm.
if you heard it here, folks, reenact it with your Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni action figures out this fall from Hasbro. Yeah, Star Wars Celebration is happening. A lot of great things are happening. The Nerd Herders have not watched Kenobi yet.
No
but,
spoilers.
We will make that correct after this episode. But before we bask in the glory that is Kenobi and enjoy and celebrate that, we wanted to gather together here as friends and hear the tale of a film I really, really enjoy. It's very special to me. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed, but I have a little alien that's always on my microphone here. He's just always hanging out. We also have a predator over there on Boop's mic, but it's always there. I have a shelf behind me. Wait. It's mirrored. I'm ignorant.
It's right there.
No. Right there. Yeah.
Wait.
Yep.
Yeah,
I got it right.
That's right.
This is for the visual audience.
But
I have a shelf behind me.
Watching, what are you doing?
Yeah. Why aren't you joining us live every Friday at Nerd Herder? Yeah, I've got a shelf behind me of aliens. I like Alien. I like this movie, this franchise, more than most people.
More than most people? Or you like it more than most people like the movie?
Both. But I will tell you, I was very surprised because every one of our guests was not coerced in any way, and we did not pay them to be here. But they all gladly chose to be on this episode. So clearly, they, like me, have a love for at least this movie. Maybe not so much its sequels, but we'll find out. But nonetheless, we have, first off, friend of the show, Bradley, back with us.
I came back to pick up Kevin. I can't find him anywhere.
He's under the bed. It's fine.
Now he's under the bed.
We finally changed the litter box, and he's just not enjoying it at all. So he's just protesting.
He heard that we had other company coming, and he just scuttled under there.
Yeah, he felt betrayed.
I gotta get his kennel going and all that.
Right. Make sure you put the towels down.
Yeah. Oh man, Brad.
Gotta get his cone of shame.
The Force Losers podcast, arguably the best and cuddliest part of the podcast, I'd say.
That's true.
Thank you.
Taking time to join us while Kev goes and does his squats. Now, also joining us is the other half of the other third, yes.
You have to remember.
Blue Bantha Milk. I forget Chris all the time because he doesn't like the Bay movies.
Wow.
And it's just, you know what? We'll have therapy about that one day, Chris
is Bay, though.
But one of the better parts of Blue Bantha Milk,
it's Sean.
I like that. That's a great introduction.
Yeah.
Hello, how are you all doing?
Oh, fantastic.
Lovely.
Sipping coffee.
Oh, lovely.
Make sure you sip
late
it
at
directly
night for that?
Yeah, dude, the sleepies hit me right as I sat down for this episode. Don't laugh at me, Brad.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm excited and pumped, and the next thing I know, I'm just like about to pass out. And I've got this show. I've got then 2 episodes of Kenobi. Oh my
Yes,
gosh, I've got so much to get through.
that is
So
true.
uh,
And you'd have to deal
I'm-
with me.
I guess yeah, it is Friday night for you, isn't it? Because I watched Kenobi on Friday night, but my Friday night was 15 hours ago.
oh yeah. Well,
Because it's Saturday morning.
yeah. Well, and as we found out, all the cool kids could have watched Kenobi at 12 a.m. Friday night.
I'm
That happened.
sorry.
I'm laying in bed and getting ready, and then I get the notification. Star Wars shared a new tweet, and it's like, "Hey, now is the time. Watch Kenobi." And I'm like, "Please."
And
But-
I was
but
already
no.
asleep. Yes.
But no,
Yeah.
That just means you watch it without her.
I can't do it.
Nah.
I love the
did-
boop too much. And Kevin
Fair
says
enough.
hi, the other half of the Force
Oh,
Users
hey.
podcast.
Why are you driving to New Mexico? We'll
Yeah,
talk later.
We'll talk later. There's a lot to do. But another new face to the show, but not new to us.
I certainly hope not.
I will say up front, I think Boop does have a little bit of favoritism for this lovely guest, but the one-haired titan that is Justin.
The
His
one-haired
hairs.
titan?
One
It's not on my
haired.
head, bro. That's messed up.
They're all down here.
You know what? Turn me
don't-
back off. Turn me off. Turn my screen off.
Don't mock the ginger beard.
It's true.
People tell me all the time I have a ginger beard, and I don't get it. Somebody told me Happy Ginger Day today, and I felt offended.
It's ginger day. You can tell me.
Well,
You're
as-
fair-haired.
well, technically, you're not ginger right now, so
Not currently.
yeah. Which our audience would know if they tuned in live every Friday at 9 p.m. Did you guys? You mostly do. Did you guys know we have a Nerd Herder Discord?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
We
certainly
do.
hope so.
I'm in there.
you
Yeah.
are. You are.
You don't utilize it.
Listen.
No.
He doesn't text most people. So this is a
That's true.
promo for everybody else. You can check out the link in the description of this video or podcast, wherever you're getting it. There's a link to join our Discord. The requirements are minimal. And join us, have fun, because you can contribute to such illustrious questions as this week. I was having a hard time deciding what to call this episode because I didn't want to, because
answers.
we just did last week an episode for the 20th anniversary of Attack of the Clones, and like there's only so many ways you can title an anniversary episode without just saying 20th anniversary, 43rd anniversary. So I was like, hey guys, I went to my peeps, the Discord, and was like, hey, I have a lot of faith in you.
Misplaced.
Help me come up with a title. So I want to
Start a snowball.
right. I want to entertain you with some of the titles that could have been in another reality, in a multiverse, you might say, of this episode.
Why are you skipping
So,
mine?
I'm not skipping yours. Stop.
Oh.
So from the illustrious Boop themselves, Alien, Mommy's Home. I don't,
Mhm.
you
I
know,
like that
I kind of
Yep.
like that one.
Yep.
I get it. There's
Thank
a
you.
queen in
There's
there.
a heavy mommy theme throughout the entire
is.
series.
This
What-
entire series could be called Mommy Issues.
You know what? Honestly, we've also got Alien. Isn't one egg an oof?
It's a French joke for people.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's
Okay,
good.
so
That's
you
good,
see,
that's good.
the French word for egg is off.
Yeah,
So isn't
yeah.
one egg
See,
enough?
I feel like the French are
Yeah.
enough of a joke that we don't need to make jokes. about it.
What are you, Connor?
I'm sorry to all of our French
Whoa.
fans. I don't know if we have those. If we do, like, say a wee wee in the comment
Yeah,
section.
give us a wee wee.
From the lovely Nick Milky from Podcast of the Wills, friend of the show.
The Milky Man.
In space, no one can hear you heard. I did kind of like that
Ooh.
one. That one was
I
close,
like that
Oh, yeah.
one.
but I didn't know if people would catch that one as much. Then another one from Boop, Nostromo Money Mo Aliens. I don't know what you were going for there.
Please
No,
do.
no.
I'm following the thread. I'm like, okay,
Boop
sure.
is funny is the essential what we're getting here. All right.
Oh my gosh. And then my favorite from the other half of Force Losers, from
Oh,
Kevin
no.
himself. They mostly pod at night. Mostly.
Mostly.
Yes.
We do, in fact, live every Friday at 9. So I'm going to keep doing it, man. I'm going to keep doing it.
It's almost as bad as the dad joke.
Oh my God. I don't have one. I
Exactly.
don't know what you want from me.
You have 3.
Yes, this is the dad cast of Nerd Herders Wonder
Wow.
Years right now. So all the lovely dads joining us tonight. thank you so much. Like I said off the top, all of you very exuberantly decided to join for this episode. So I figured I'd start off with just asking, a general, what made it such a easy yes for this one? Is it, because you're a horror movie fan, a sci-fi movie fan, or is it just you kind of like this movie?
Do you like a Geiger?
Do you like a Geiger? Justin, why don't you start us off?
I like it a Geiger. I don't think I really knew anything about Alien until I watched Spaceballs. Spaceballs was the introduction.
Okay,
right?
All right.
And everybody knows what I'm talking about, right? The scene in the space diner or whatever it's called. And I'll have the special, right? And it's the chest burster. And I'm sitting with my dad because that's probably where I watch most of the movies that have become cult classics that I love. Is just watching them with my dad when I was a kid. And I remember watching that one and seeing that. I'm like, I don't get what's going on the screen there. I don't know what that is. And he told me it was Alien and then proceeded to tell me that I couldn't watch it.
Yeah,
which was a call to arms. And so I did. And ever since then, the horror, space horror genre, cosmic horror, has been a big part of my entertainment list. Like, I'm big on Event Horizon's probably my all-time favorite spooky movie.
Right, because you showed me that movie.
Yeah, I showed Boop probably too many movies that she shouldn't have seen. But
okay, yeah, I've told the story before about Justin. Every time we talk about a horror movie, I'm like, hey, so my brother showed me this movie when I was way too young. This is the Justin from those stories.
I created the Boop,
I was going to say, because I think you told a story about It before, the 1990 It.
Classic Pennywise,
yeah.
Good times. But yeah, so it's just always kind of been there in the periphery of movies that I've tried to keep an eye on and just the Geiger feel.
Nice, very cool. Sean, what about you with Alien? Yeah, I mean, you were I think actually the first to agree to join us for this one.
Oh yeah, no, I love this movie. So I live in Australia now, but I grew up in England, and we had when I was like 11 or 12, we got the satellite dish, and we had Sky is the name. It was the name of like the channel. It was the name of like the package. So you had like Sky One, Sky News, Sky Movies, and all that.
Skynet.
Skynet. And when we had school holidays, Sky Movies did a thing where I think it was like, say, maybe like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. At 10 o'clock at night, they had Alien, and the next night they had Aliens, and the next night they had Alien 3. And my parents were very kind of slack on letting me watch things, provided that, I didn't go crying to them if I had nightmares. It was like, yeah, it's that's it. You can do what you want, but don't come whinging if you can't sleep. This is the trade-off. I was like, okay, fair enough. So I watched Alien and just thought it was amazing, and the next night I watched Aliens and was just like, oh my god. And then Alien 3, which for a long time Alien 3 was definitely my favorite because of like, obviously it's all English actors, and it was all actors I knew from like TV and stuff like that, and I just quite liked the setting and everything. Looking at like watching like the assembly cut later, I'm still sort of like, yeah, that movie's dope.
I love hearing that, because I remember when I binge watched and actually discovered that there was more than one. That one really stood out for me, and I don't know why. Even looking back, I still wouldn't say it's necessarily my favorite, but I knew it like just stuck. Like the overall feel was very different and memorable and everything. So it's very rare to hear somebody praise Alien 3, at least for me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, well when Prometheus came out, me and my wife did. I think it was coming out on the Friday, so we did like Monday Alien, Tuesday Aliens, and so on. And her favorite was, she absolutely loved Alien 3. And the thing that we always come back to is there's a scene in Alien Resurrection where someone puts like these like little jelly cubes in a glass and then puts a laser on them, and then they turn into whiskey. And she always comes back to that as just, that's the stupidest thing she's ever seen in a movie ever. And it will always, like, so when I said, I'm going to do this thing, I'm going to go and I'm going to talk about Alien, and, I'm going to go get the Blu-ray and we can sit and watch it. And she's like, Is that the stupid whiskey one? Like, no, it's the good one. It's the Ripley. It's like it's the Ripley in the tiny undies, and she's like, oh yeah, no, yeah, cool. I watched that with you. Brilliant.
Sign me up.
So we watched that last week, and she was like, God damn, that's a good movie. And she's just been talking about it all week, and just if one of us didn't have to look after the baby, she'd be sat here instead of me.
Oh wow!
Just, like,
she's invited.
Yeah, she's just taking the baby out for
bring the baby too. You know what?
Gus.
Surely this is a baby safe conversation.
I know Gus would be all over it. But yeah, no, and recently we played the video game Alien Isolation, and I bought it for my brother-in-law, and he played it and he loved it, and he was like, you know what? I've never seen these movies. Like, oh, no shit. So, we watched them all, and he absolutely loved them and everything. So they've become kind of like a bit of a family thing. And then the last time we were out with we went to my in-laws, and they live in the country out on a farm, and we're all sitting there at night, and everyone's a bit cold and a bit bored, and we're just kind of sitting around, and someone turned the TV on, and Alien came on. We were like, woo, yes, please. We're like awesome. All scurried into the living room to watch it again. And yeah, no, it's a nigh perfect movie.
Yeah.
I think in terms of like the pacing and the characters, and better than sort of most of the sequels, it just gives you that thing of like, okay, here's like 6 or 7 characters, here's an hour of like build up, and then there's an hour of alien, so you get that kind of, by the time the alien shows up, you don't want any of those characters to die except Ash, and you're ready to go. So yeah, I love it. I can't speak more highly of it. I absolutely love it.
That's awesome. I love hearing that it's like such a family thing for you, because like obviously our Star Wars being our main thing on this podcast, we hear those kinds of stories all the time with Star Wars and such. Not so much like I definitely, and I'll talk about it, but like for me that's very much the case, because like that was just what me and my mom watched. This was very much up the alley of what I was raised on, which looking back, but I turned out fine-ish.
Watch Mel Brooks movies, honestly.
Right, so it's like this weird flippage happening where, like, when we met, you started showing me the things like the family content I missed out on, and I'm showing you more of the stuff you.
He had never seen Young Frankenstein.
No, until one Christmas with the family, I'd never seen that.
Insane.
It's wild because my wife and her brother, like I lived with them we all lived together for a few years, and I was amazed. You sort of have just a casual conversation, you bring up a movie and someone hasn't seen it, and it was like I was talking about something, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm sure there's like someone like John McClane's in the vents or something, and they just gave me a blank look. I'm like, Die Hard.
Yep.
Hadn't seen Die Hard, so it was like, right, okay.
Oh wow.
And all of like we ended up bonding over just like all those 80s, 90s action movies. And it was like The Fugitive, Air Force One, Cliffhanger, Die Hard. We were just watching them and just like,
oh man.
Yeah. And I think I sort of ruined them, because then like, they'll go and watch a movie now and they'll come back and be like, yeah, it's good, but it's not The Fugitive, is it? All right. Like, damn. I gave them a taste of the gold, and now I've ruined them.
I didn't kill my wife. I don't care.
That movie, that's a perfect movie.
Absolutely. I watched it the other day.
More highly. Yeah.
I will say its sequel, U.S. Marshals, it holds up pretty well. I rewatched that recently as well.
I haven't actually seen it.
Yeah, I didn't realize growing up that it was a sequel. I thought they were just like, Tommy Lee Jones is doing the thing again, but like, nope.
How he does.
Right. Well, and speaking of love of those cheesy action movies, that's what kind of helped birth this. Because Brad, when you and your cohort Kev were with us talking about Terminator, it came up on that episode, and then I was like, yes, we have to do this now, because it's like I was on the fence for so long, because we even went for the 40th anniversary to see this in theaters, like, we love it, but it was always that on the fence of like, is this going to be a good episode? Are we going to find people that like it enough and everything? But as soon as you said it, Brad, I was like, you know what?
Oh yeah,
we're doing it. So, for you, I mean, what makes this so special?
I mean, like I've said before on the podcast and everything, it's like I grew up with my mother's side of the family being like hardcore Mormons and all that, and I mean, I was sheltered. Like nobody's business. Like my mom didn't want me watching horror movies, so my dad couldn't watch horror movies. So my dad found a loophole, and we jumped into sci-fi action movies. And eventually, like as I got older and my mom got more lax, like he started bringing out some of the older or the more gruesome ones. I think probably the first one we went with was Doom, with The Rock. Don't judge.
It's a fun movie.
I love
it.
That
Is it is a fun one.
It's way better than that one on Netflix right now, like Doom Retribution or something. And I'm just
I
like,
don't remember what it is, but yeah. But I mean, eventually we worked over to Aliens 2. And then I mean, so we after watching Aliens 2, watched Alien 3, and then I caught Resurrection on like Sci-Fi one night. And then I thought to myself, I was like, I haven't even seen the first one, so I got to see the first one. And I mean, it doesn't help that, I mean, we were talking about mommies earlier, and I mean, I've always been Sigourney's always been on my wish list.
Oh, wow. She is definitely space mommy for sure. I mean, it's tough because like you have Leia on one hand, and I think it's only tough because again, like it's a Star Wars podcast first and everything, so obviously you want to think of the most BA space woman as Leia, but
Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
In an exosuit, like robotic arms.
Yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Oh yeah, so iconic.
Get away from him, you bitch.
The thing with Alien, like with Sigourney Weaver, and this was sort of this is what Fiona, my wife, was talking about. She was like, the thing that she loves about it is that there isn't like this sort of progression of Ripley from being like, oh, she's all meek and all that, and she gradually becomes a badass. From the very first time you see her, you're like, oh yeah, no, if something goes down, I'm gonna hide behind her. She's great. And it just, her character just, it all makes sense all the way through. There's not that kind of, she doesn't have that sort of Sarah Connor thing of like mild-mannered waitress into warrior. Like she is just instantaneously she's a trucker in space with a bunch of dudes who are a little bit, they're a bit dickheads and you don't really know about them. So she knows what to do. I love her.
No, I love that because I mean, in a genre, because the first film especially is very much that sci-fi horror. It's like equal parts of both, I definitely think. But either way, especially in horror, you get that final girl syndrome that was very popular, especially with slasher films, monster films, all of that, where they might accomplish something, but it's after being like backed into the corner, but put at the absolute least and everything, which isn't necessarily bad. It can work in the film, and it does in many, but to have a strong beginning to end, and even some of like the conflict in that first half of the film being because she is a strong female, it was some bold choice for sure.
There's
something if she kept the quarantine rules.
Exactly.
It's a quarantine rule.
If Lieutenant Ellen Ripley had the keys to the world during COVID, we'd all be better off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry to bring up the C word. I'm sorry.
Oh, and by the way, I have a cold. I don't have COVID.
You're perfectly fine.
I know you can't catch it through.
I don't think it's digitally viral
yet.
I don't know if it does. And I don't want to be patient zero.
It hasn't.
We've already mentioned Skynet once. I mean.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Screen.
Right. Let's not. That's somebody's thing, but not our thing.
No. Speaking of which, watch Calrissian Chronicles.
Had you seen and been exposed to Alien before us, or was that an us thing?
That was 100% an us thing because I had a Justin, but at the same time, there was a lot that I was not allowed to watch. Like so much.
You were kept from a lot of stuff.
Yes, and I was very sheltered growing up.
The wee babby of the group.
Exactly.
So I'm pretty sure I think it was like a dual feature of like we got to watch, the big two, Predator and Alien.
And like I remember very clearly a conversation before we got married of I've never seen these movies. If we're gonna get married, you're gonna need to see these movies.
Well, I mean, no, but
yeah.
No, but yeah, but yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Because I know for me, so like I talked about it when we talked about Terminator, but that's a perfect example of like my mom loved action, cheesy stuff like that and classic horror, and so I was very much raised on that. It was just treated like this is stuff you watch, right? So I watched Predator, I watched Friday the 13th, I watched all of these things very young. And I remember, 2004 when AVP rolls around. This was the first new Predator movie in my lifetime, and so I was like, "Oh, we've got to go see this." Like, I had a mother that took me to see AVP in theaters. Like, this was the same year that the Yu-Gi-Oh movie came out. Where do you think the other kids were?
Was that really?
Yeah,
Yes.
because that was
I didn't
like
even know there was a Yu-Gi-Oh movie.
my
Oh,
grandmother
yeah,
thought
I do.
my
That's the
grandmother
movie I went to
thought
go
that
see.
like Yu-Gi-Oh was the cards of the devil because it was like D&D,
It's
Yu-Gi-Oh,
always a
and
devil card.
Pokemon, right?
Mhm.
Like pocket monsters. Come on, they're coming for your children. And so,
America, man, you just really just America, just
But-
sort it
Exactly.
out.
but even my grandmother was like, "Don't you want to take him to the devil card game movie? Like, come on, like it's got to be better than that." And I knew nothing of Alien. I went to that thinking it was a Predator movie, and I was left like, I've got research to do. So we went to the Blockbuster and picked up all of them.
Mm.
At that point, it was all four, and binged it. And one of the things that let me down for sure was seeing AVP first. Like, the aliens and all of that's very different in that
Yeah.
film, and by that point in time. But nonetheless, like, I mean, I still remember sitting there and thinking something's wrong. There's been 7 minutes and no dialogue. like
Yeah.
like that
No.
opening thing had me like, did we get a bum copy of Alien? Like, what happened?
I mean, there
Is
certainly
this
were
the
some
end
bums.
credits?
But I remember once it shifted from the spaceship to when they actually explore the wreckage and everything. And shout out to Andy from Force Friends Rewatch Podcast, who pointed out part of the reason I like this so much is because it's in a mummy movie.
Yeah.
It's very much that, explorers go into the caves, unlock a sarcophagus, and get cursed, and
Oh,
everybody
Mummy.
dies.
Yeah.
Spectacular.
That's-
Andy is so
That's
smart.
fair.
The first Andy has
That's
this
interesting.
gift of seeing movies as anything
Yes.
but the genre they're actually in.
Baseball metaphor.
That's
Like, it was once it went into that, oh, we're exploring a weird derelict ship, like there's all these unknown things, all these questions that don't get answers in this film, that I kind of got enraptured. And then of course the alien shows up and game over from there.
Game over, man.
Because
Mm.
one of the most iconic design, we've joked about it, but H.R. Geiger brought
Oh my gosh.
this creature to life, and man, he knows how to make something memorable for sure.
Yeah.
Just ask the dead Kennedys. You can that's a reference to it. Listen, we can't go on it.
You want-
That's a long story.
No, explain
Okay.
that, because I'm lost.
Okay, so the Dead Kennedys are a punk band. First of all,
Yes.
let's just establish
Yeah.
that up top. So the Dead
Correct.
Kennedys, oh man, which album was it? I don't remember which album it was, but one of their later albums, they used a H.R. Geiger painting as the album cover,
Oh,
and they got hit with a obscenity lawsuit
oh,
because I can show
I'm
you
sure.
this later. Nancy Reagan got involved,
I'm sure.
Oh,
and yeah.
Oh, Nancy
So,
Reagan.
There's a lot of story that
so-
comes with that joke.
My reference
Yeah.
like that is that, for years, I don't know, they're just now getting back into the mainstream, but so I don't know if they still use it, but up until the 2010s, Korn
yeah.
had a mic stand that was designed by H.R. Geiger. So if you check out any
Yep.
live footage of them, it's got that very female form, weird biomechanicalness to it.
Yeah, you weren't expecting music history on this
So-
nerd podcast.
Well, like that was some of the stuff. So like, I mean, that was the early days of the internet, and so like some of the ways once I discovered something I liked, I'd go down a rabbit hole, and looking
saw a
more
lot of
into
things.
look. It turns out when you're young and you look up H.R. Geiger art or whatever, like you find some things, and so but some of it interesting, some of it apparently obscene, but nonetheless, he definitely had a way with design. He created something that, although it's gotten tweaked here and there, it leaves a lasting impression. And it's funny because in this film, especially, it goes so unseen. I know one of the big things I like about it, and it's highlighted a lot about this film, is it's very much like a shark hunting fish. It's not necessarily monsters out of the shadows. It's It's I mean, you know, you could probably count under 10 minutes worth of seeing the
Yeah.
actual alien.
I think I heard
Yeah.
the screen time was like 4 minutes.
Yeah.
It's so effective though.
Actual screen time. Yeah.
There's a cool thing that there's a few shots and a few scenes. Like I watched the director's cut, so I think there's like an extra scene, and
Yes.
like when you're in the room with like the water, with the water and the chains and stuff. There's a shot where it just like shows the chains and the alien's just hanging there.
Yes.
And I said to my wife, I was like, "Oh, it's there. There's the alien. It's right there."
Yeah.
And we paused it, and she's like, "Where?" I'm like, "There." Taking it off the screen.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah.
And she just couldn't see it. And later on, when it's like lying down, and you can see that it's in the panel.
Yeah,
and again, I was just like, "Oh, it's." They were pointing, and she's like, "Show me. I don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "See this? That's its head, and this is its little feet. You know, there's little toesies over here." And she's like, "I just can't." She just could not see it. It just merged perfectly in the background.
That's adorable. Well, yeah. Well, and that's something I so loved about this was like that's one of my favorite scenes is actually the upshot of him just there dangling like on the chains and everything. It's just
Curled
such
up in a ball.
Yeah. And that's what becomes fun about films you like and you rewatch is trying to catch it. Because definitely that first time, I'm sure as with most people, it was just I wasn't looking for the alien around every corner.
Yeah.
But
And you wouldn't know what it looked like. Like the very
Right.
first time anyone saw it, you'd be like, "Well, I don't know what I'm looking for because I don't know what it
Exactly.
is."
It's like the first time we watched Hereditary.
Oh yeah,
And
I told someone that story where like I was recommending the film Hereditary, and I was like, one of the scariest things happened after the movie was over because my partner looked over at me and was like, "Did you see the naked man?"
Yeah.
No, it was
What?
we went
Like in
back
the
in
theater,
the movie.
in the cinema with you.
Exactly.
She sits down.
It was actually just Kev. Where I
Probably.
went back and paused the scene and I was like, "Do you see it? Do
And
you see Grandma?"
Hereditary is absolutely on that level with Alien, where on rewatch you're constantly finding new things around the corners.
Yep.
I
It's a feast
love
for
that
the
they.
eyes.
Yeah, I love that they even play with that. You brought up Alien 3 earlier. I love that they play with that a little bit in Alien 3. They have a few scenes where Ellen even thinks she's seeing the alien, and it turns out to be nothing.
Yeah, it's like the pipe, isn't it? And she
I was about
Yeah.
to say where she drives the
cockroaches.
spike through the pipe. Yeah.
And so you
Yes.
start seeing the alien everywhere, and you're just like,
Yes.
oh. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing. You brought it up. Alien Isolation. That's me the entire day. I'm
It
like,
was so funny
oh
watching
my
him play.
god! I rage quit that so many times.
And like I think that's what makes the later Alien films so good is that we see aliens, and it plays on our expectations in the later films because like we know we're gonna get a xenomorph at some point. It's just where is the next big boo gonna come from?
Can we just highlight the fact that the Predator franchise decided to troll Alien and do their third film as Predators?
Predators.
I like. I actually, that's what I used to call Predator 2 because I remember being in Hollywood Video with my mom and finding that, and she was like, "Oh, you're gonna love that. There's more than one Predator." And so, like, but at that point, having seen Aliens, I just kept calling it Predator and Predators.
Makes sense.
Worked for me.
Too Fast, Too Predator.
Fun fact: the LA Lakers are some of those Predators in the last scene.
It's
There you
true.
go.
I did not know that.
It was the only tall people they could find on short notice.
That's a very good point. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Oh,
And-
go ahead.
Speaking of tall people, do you remember the name of the actor that played the alien in the first one?
No, I can look it up.
Begins with a B.
He was a dancer.
He was a graphic designer.
So much like he was a graphic designer.
Yeah, they found him in a pub.
I knew they found him in a pub, but I thought like he was like a
No.
dancer. Like I thought he was like a physically active guy.
From what I read, he was a graphic designer. Found him in a pub. He was like 7 foot tall. They put him through a load of like movement training and stuff like that.
That's
So
probably
for the thing, this is probably there.
I'm
And then
gonna
after
let
that,
you
he
say
never did
that.
anything else in Hollywood.
Balaji
And his-
Badeo?
I mean,
Yeah.
Hideo, yeah.
Badeo?
would have made enough money just doing this. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and that incredible physique that would
I don't know why I thought he was a dancer. I thought that was like one of the reasons they got him, because I know there's like there's a lot of deleted scenes, but there's
Mhm.
one where they have him like acrobatically crawling on the floor because they were like Ridley was like, there's no way he walks on two legs, right? Like of the alien. And so that shot where it's Parker and
I love that you can see this movie in your head.
well, it's the scene where
Lambert?
they're like loading up the oxygen tanks. They're like,
Lambert.
all right, we're gonna cut Lambert, thank you. The scene where you just see the tail come up behind her and then it cuts to the screen, that was the cutout of the original sequence. I think you can find that on YouTube's if you look it up. But yeah.
There's the words will come eventually. There was so much work put into, making a not only incredible looking villain or creature, but also the physicality that went into it is
Yeah.
absolutely insane. Like, this is an otherworldly looking thing. And so we have to have the movements to go with it.
Well, and it was definite. I mean, it was never created with the thought that we're going to do this again, because like they used actual bone, actual like various samples of like lamb skin and things like in the building of it.
Gross.
Because that's like a Geiger thing. And so like it was definitely built as I'm making an art piece for this film, and that's kind of going to be it. Never imagining, hey, James Cameron's going to come along one day
Good old
and
James.
reimagine the alien a little bit, reimagine this film and the genre that it even fits in and everything. And so it definitely got to go places I don't think that this film was intended to go, but I'm appreciative of it happening for sure.
Yeah.
I enjoy all of the sequels.
I mean, it became one of the most iconic horror franchises in the world.
And until the recent years, probably had the most successful sequels, I think. Like, I know Prometheus and
point.
Covenant are kind of
I love
polarizing.
those movies. I don't care what anybody says. Those movies are great.
Yeah, no, I like them. I find that those two, I almost feel like they tried to like kind of bring it back to the same, maybe not the same type of horror, but like the same almost level and feel of horror that the first one had. Because I will say, like, was it Covenant freaked me out. Like, there were parts of that movie that genuinely freaked me out. Like, I wasn't scared to like sleep at night or anything, but like when you have flowers that can make things burst out of your chest that then run around like little gremlins and eat people, I'm like, nope.
What a sentence.
Yeah.
That's the Alien franchise for you. Like,
Exactly.
definitely those get into a little bit of body horror, a little bit more of what was working in modern horror films for sure.
Yeah.
But the first time in a long time, it's re-entered the horror genre for sure. But we'll put it up to the table. Brad, you kind of started it off. So, I mean, are there any big favorites of the sequels for you? Because there's quite a few now.
I mean, if I ever had to like pick ones just to watch by themselves, if I'm not going to like go through and watch the whole series, I would say I would go with Aliens and Alien Resurrection.
I'm for that. Alien Resurrection for me is definitely that. I don't have the brain power to binge the whole series, but I want some Alien in my life.
Yeah.
Because it's also just a fun ride. I mean, you got Ron Perlman, Winona Ryder.
I want to look at Ron Perlman for a few hours, but I don't want to watch Hellboy. So.
Oh yes, so I love that movie unironically. One of my favorite like alien designs too, because they really changed it up for that one. Because they gave them like the digitoid legs and such.
Brad Dourif being a little weirdo.
Yes,
my favorite genre of man.
Oh gosh, Sean, what about you? Any big favorites with the sequels?
I'm a big fan of the original trilogy. I felt like everything after them
Empire's the
shit.
best.
Yeah, I feel like Resurrection and Covenant and Prometheus are just. I don't think I'll ever watch them again. To be honest, I was not a fan. We had the experience with Prometheus. Like, we watched it in. So I used to be a teacher in Istanbul in Turkey, and what Turkey does is every movie at the cinema has an interval. The exact at the halfway point, the movie stops and you get like 15 minutes. And some cases it works perfectly. Like when we went to go watch the reissue of Jurassic Park, and as the trucks come around the corner and the power goes out and they grind to a halt outside the T-Rex paddock, the screen went dark and the lights came on and everyone just went, ooh.
That's a good spot to kind of break it up.
It's great, isn't it? And that's perfect Spielberg stuff as well, because you're like, okay, that's the perfect halfway point of the movie. It's like a roller coaster, and he's just completely nailed it. But like with Prometheus, I can't remember where it stopped, and me and my wife were both sat there, and I was like, "What do you think?" And she's like, "I don't know why anything's happening, and I don't care." We're like, "Oh, let's just see what happens." And then we watched the rest of the movie, and I was like, did your opinion change?" And she was like, "No." I don't know why any of that happened, and I still don't care.
Fair.
Yeah.
Like I was talking to someone this week actually, because they were looking forward to this episode, and trying to explain like Prometheus is the most like in between film, like it's just to set up something else.
It's an
like,
art piece.
Yeah,
you could say.
It's this very weird.
Gorgeous.
Yeah. But you can tell they went into the movie with the idea of, all right, how do we set this up? Like, the next thing, like it. And so the whole film felt like it was just trying to get to a point. And so, but not necessarily doing it in a compelling way. I will say, but I think it definitely took getting closer to Covenant, and it's one of those things where I think watching those two together, and getting what Prometheus is trying to set up, like you have the immediate gratification of changing out the DVDs. It works a little bit more than it originally did for me, for sure.
Yeah, I think I feel.
Sorry.
Oh, Covenant.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Like I feel that both of these movies, like I don't know if anybody's read Clive Barker.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you're watching those movies, you're like, this is a metaphor. Not necessarily one that I need to understand, because it doesn't matter that much. But Clive Barker does a lot of stuff like that.
Well, what's interesting, and then I'll ping it to you, Justin, but just because you brought up like the metaphorness of it, like it is interesting how later Alien films really go metaphor heavy. Like they try to represent something.
This is motherhood.
Whereas the first one, I mean, other than the metaphor of Geiger's art, I don't know that it really went for anything. I think it was just a self-contained little.
It didn't need
story.
to be. It doesn't
Exactly.
need to be a commentary on anything else.
Yeah, it's completely. I mean, the second one's very much just like corporation's evil, like
Vietnam War. It's just a
um,
Vietnam War thing, isn't it?
yeah.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, I mean, it is interesting that all the sequels have that self-implied pressure of this. We have to make this mean something, and whatnot. Or maybe I'm just reading too much into that, but I do think there's a little bit of metaphor trying to be pushed in. I mean, because the Prometheus and Covenant, it's all about finding your creators or becoming your own creator kind of thing. Like that's the thing it's toying with, and
that's the point of the Prometheus title.
Yeah. And so it's like it's a lot of that. Oh, it's layers and such, but it's just like I can see that being the reason why it doesn't work for some people.
Yeah, they took a horror movie
entertaining as well. Like that's the key. Give me metaphor out the ass, but it has to be entertaining. I have to feel as though a movie hasn't wasted my time. That's
absolutely
the thing.
Yeah. No, I mean you get a lot of dense films lately that don't necessarily entertain. The same way that you get a lot of entertaining films that don't necessarily have any real substance beyond the like 10-second haha.
Like Psycho Gorman.
Yeah, and I mean it's all about what you're going into the experience for, I think. So I like it. It's never a right, like it's not, Sean, you have watched those movies wrong. Let me explain it to you.
No.
Nah, I mean, I think you got it. I think you just don't like it, and that's okay.
That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the big juice. What about you with sequels? Do you have a favorite?
I would say Aliens as well, because of the thing that really drew me to that one. Because I think what I really enjoyed about Aliens 1, other than the idea of all the cosmic horror like designed and everything like that, the design of the movie, it also kind of goes back to like where Sean was talking about. You can see him right there in the movie, but not everybody can see it because it was so well designed. Lighting was different, and just the ambience was different for those movies. And I do think that's a big part of what sets Prometheus, other than story beats and things like that, what sets Prometheus and Covenant back in terms of like Alien 1 and Aliens, is that in those movies you can pretty much see everything that's going on, and you kind of have to because they spent billions or millions on CGI effects to have the little aliens running around and things like that. But what I like about Aliens is the sort of the arrogance of it all, like trying to, I get the corporate, the corporations are bad thing, which I think is a big overarching theme for the movies, all of them. But like sending in the Marines because like they'll get it figured out, right? and then it was almost every time I think about the Marines from that movie, I think about like the soldiers from Predator, right? You think about the game. What was the first game? Was it Colonial or was it Aliens versus Marines?
It was Aliens versus Predator was, I think, the first one.
Where it had it had the Marines, and it was really not well received for that reason. Like nobody wanted to play the Marines because it's like we're all going to get chewed up and spit out, and
pretty much.
And I love the idea, the arrogance of like, was it Vasquez or who is the center with the red bandana? I can't remember which
Vasquez.
And she had like this massive autocannon thing that was like all of the technology of those movies. Just it kind of looks a little dinky nowadays, but when I remember watching those as a kid and like just seeing like the scroll of the cockpit in the first Alien movie, that probably was the biggest draw to me because of all the little tactile buttons and switches and lights and noises and the ambience of those movies, which is so above and beyond what a lot of sci-fi movies can do and are doing these days. It's like the reason I love the Millennium Falcon, right? From the OG is because of all the stuff that you can see and experience and the toggles and so but I appreciate the Prometheus and the Alien Covenant entirely separate from these movies, though. For that reason, I think, because I don't think they got the ambience right. They certainly didn't do the lighting the same way. It was just like, there's the alien, it's running, or you just don't see it because it's hiding behind some kind of plot wall or something until it inevitably pops out or the head explodes from the engineer or whatever. So, were they good movies? Yeah, maybe, but like it didn't feel like an Alien movie to me. And the ambience of those Alien movies were something else.
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely fair because like it's gone on to create its own brand of atmosphere and feel for sure. And there's almost this catch-22 of, do we do the same thing and try and make it, cool again? Or do we do the complete opposite? Like no one's ever seen an alien in daylight, and it's like, you can
it takes away the fear. Like I'm not even scared of that.
Right. And so like sometimes doing different isn't always good. Sometimes doing the same isn't always good. But
but one thing I do need to say about Aliens the sequel is the little knife trick with the table. I have a scar on my finger from doing that in school because of that movie. So
I remember that.
That's awesome.
I have that living memory.
I have a very significant memory of being at camp and having you put your hand over mine and doing the knife trick. So yeah, you were influenced by that movie.
Good times.
2 fun facts from what you mentioned. Number 1, you just mentioned like the feel and the atmosphere of like the Nostromo and just that spaceship. I love that. On Spotify, you can actually find Nostromo brown noise.
Yep.
I fall asleep to that quite often.
It's great until you get to the boiler room.
I remember you waking me up and you're just like, turn that off.
Yes.
There is a point where it does make you feel like you're too much in the movie, but
you start hearing chains with water dripping off, and you're like, no, thank you.
In general, it's just nice space hum and controlling clicks and whatnot. But
personally, I prefer the Enterprise.
that was what got me on there because I was trying to find Enterprise and I found Nostromo.
There
But
you
so number 2, the actress that played Vasquez now owns an underwear like company.
Yes.
Yeah. So Netflix, not really worth the $19.99, but it does occasionally have some good stuff, including the movies that made us. And they recently did an episode on aliens, and they catch up with some of the actors and actresses and creators and everything, which is really cool. And yeah, she's like thriving in the adult lingerie department.
As
it's-
opposed to what?
I was gonna say, what
What do you
the
mean?
fuck?
Lingerie?
I'm
Well,
hoping.
okay, well, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
I'm
no,
kind of
no.
hoping
Let's
that they're
dig
called
into
Ranger
this.
panties. I
Let's-
really am.
Ranger panties. But yeah. No, well, for you, do you have a favorite of these mini films? I know which one's not your favorite, but we're not talking about that.
I know we're not going to talk about that. I really like Aliens as well, and it's hard to like.
What are y'all, Star Wars fans?
The
The sequel's
original,
the best one.
the original is my favorite, but if I had to choose a sequel, it would be Aliens because there's so many good points that they took from. At this point I have Alden Diaz tapestried like about how much I love a good
Tapestry.
sequel. Yes, the tapestry. It's very important. The perfect sequel takes elements of the original and builds on it and just absolutely destroys it. And Aliens does that so well of not only just more aliens, but more bodies, more the stakes are way higher because now there's a kid involved. And it's just
That one was Carpenter, wasn't it?
No,
Wait, no?
Cameron.
Cam-
James Cameron.
That was
What?
Cameron. Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay. I was
Carpenter
incorrect.
hasn't touched an alien. And now he's dead, so
I mean,
Wow.
John Carpenter's not dead.
is he
John
not?
Carpenter.
No,
No.
he's not.
Are you sure?
You
He's
keep
directing
calling
the
that John
next
Carpenter's
Halloween
dead, and he's not
movie.
dead.
This is sort of like the
thought I saw
Marlon Brando.
When did I do this last?
Comment.
I did this again. I did this before. Who was it then?
You did it with Wes.
Not Wes Craven.
No,
Wes Craven is dead.
Wes Craven is dead.
Yes, he is. John Carpenter's not dead.
Cronenberg.
No.
Was it Cronenberg?
And Cronenberg's not dead.
No, he's not.
I think it might have
He's got a
been.
movie at Cannes.
We've had this conversation with so many people.
J-Dub, not a great judge of people who are alive or not.
But anyway,
Apparently dead to you because he's never touched an alien.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, yes,
Yeah.
James, which like that was the interesting thing is you take something from a very, I mean, now he's such a cinema guy, like it's such a thing for Ridley Scott to touch your film, but like
I don't like the way you said that.
it used to be, I mean, like think of Blade Runner, you think of like the
Mhm.
early days where it
I
was just
do.
like this guy is going out of the bounds, he's touching the grunge of filmmaking, like it's just like he's touching things,
Sure,
But, like,
Continue.
it where he came from where he is and how he's viewed in his filmmaking is so starkly different. But
yeah.
at the time, like there's a reason this is very grungy and look, I mean, almost like not as bad as Texas Chainsaw, but almost Texas Chainsaw in space levels of like filming technique and quality and everything. Like it's good, but it's lower quality.
How dare you?
I'm
I
just
was gonna say you looked very offended there.
I was offended.
she likes that movie, but
I do.
I
I
I'm
love
not
Texas Chainsaw
I'm not using it
Massacre.
as I'm not using it as a negative. I just mean I'm as just a descriptor of like the first film.
Oh no, it's nasty. It's dirty.
Yeah, I mean it's like the original Star Wars. It's just like nobody believed in this thing. Like it was a miracle that it got made, and then you pass it off, for this second sequel to a guy that had some wins under his belt at that point of James Cameron, and he miraculously gets to actually succeed at a sequel. I mean, like unlike any of the other ones, like I said, not many people talk to me about, hey, I love Alien 3. I love Alien Resurrection. I love anyone after Aliens.
I love Ron Perlman.
Generally,
And Brad Dourif.
a lot of attention goes to Aliens. And like I do think the fact that we're talking about the film and the franchise 43 years later is partly due to having a very, very good sequel, at least one of them.
And Bill Paxton.
And Bill Paxton.
Yes.
You put Bill Paxton in your
I
movie,
bet.
that's a hit.
R.I.P. R.I.P. I think about that
Who is
sometimes.
dead? There you go.
There
He's
you
I
go.
know that one because I think about it often
Yes.
and it makes me sad.
I forget where we were, but you looked at me with such a sad face and was just like, Bill Paxton's dead. And I was,
We
"Oh
were
my."
at a Mexican restaurant. I remember I had ordered a quesadilla, and it was the saddest quesadilla I'd ever eaten.
Yeah. At least it wasn't an IKEA.
Oh
now it's
man,
Ray
yeah,
Liotta.
IKEA was ruined. That's where we found out Carrie Fisher passed, and I was just like,
Oh.
well, now I don't care about my Gutenwagen. Like, I just
You're what?
Why are you in IKEA on like Christmas Eve or Christmas Boxing? It was like the day after.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
the day after Christmas. We
It
needed
was-
furniture, man.
yeah, it was because we were visiting family who were near conveniently in IKEA. Guys, it's like $120 to ship from IKEA, like anything. And so, like when you're near an IKEA, you go for the furniture and the
Exactly.
meatballs. And
When
we
you
had
want a
both.
flarg now.
And I cried on my meatballs because Carrie Fisher had passed away, and it's just not a good day.
No.
But
Soured IKEA.
to bring this, weird conversation
Land the plane.
back up, Bill Paxton, the only guy killed by a predator, an alien, and a Terminator.
Exactly.
go.
Except for Lance Henriksen.
Dang.
That is true.
Holy cow, Sean!
Dang.
We need to have him on more often. He knows
Yeah.
stuff.
Terminator 1, AVP, and well, a couple of aliens actually.
Yeah.
Dang.
Yeah, that dude gets his ass whooped by aliens all the time.
Yeah, it's a
Not a
Bishop
bad
thing.
gig though.
No.
Not a
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no,
not bad at
Lance
all.
Henriksen. I like
If it ain't broken, don't fix.
Yep.
Aliens made me fall in love with him as a character actor, and like I went from there to like Pumpkinhead and everything. Like
Oh,
he's
Oh,
so
Pumpkinhead.
good.
love Pumpkinhead.
And I mean,
Mhm.
so often just around the main character, never always the main character, but he's always great. Really enjoy him. So, well, kind of to wrap up, any other big things for this? I mean, 43 years is nothing to gawk at. Star Wars just hit 45 itself, so I mean,
I feel like not to interrupt, but I feel like we need to talk about Ash for a second.
We do need to talk
Arguably the most unsettling thing in the entire movie
you want to talk about Robot
Yes.
Man?
is where his head
Dialogue.
falls off and he's like coming after people.
Okay.
What?
So
So
this
is it you? Someone I know has a friend who was like petrified of this
Yes.
thing, this
It-
scene, like when he freaks out.
yeah, I don't remember who it was though.
Oh well, we don't need to dox him, but I just remember
wait.
like it coming up and someone was like
Was it Scotty?
viscerally just like, we're not talking about that. It's just
I
like,
don't
oh gosh.
But yeah, like this wasn't my introduction to Ian Holm because that was The Fifth Element, one of our dad's favorite movies.
Mm.
But
Oh yeah,
Is he the priest?
yeah, he's the
priest.
priest,
and he's Bilbo.
right?
And he's still there.
Wait, what? Huh?
Yes. Oh my god.
Wait,
He's-
what?
Wait, like
Yes, he's Bilbo Baggins.
No,
In
I'm
Lord of-
I'm officially requesting to be on this Lord of the Rings episode that y'all are
Yes.
having way off in the future
It's
for that
happening.
reason.
holy cow. I was like, all right, you started that sentence and I was
I-
like, oh, finally my chance to mention how like everybody makes a big deal about Ash and Ian Holm, and I'm just like, of everyone's career that I followed after this, I did not know who
like-
this man was.
It's like the Orion's belt of my childhood, right there.
That's what I've
Son
loved
of a
about this.
bitch.
What I've loved about this whole setup is that every time somebody mentions like Pumpkinhead or something, Brad goes, "Oh yeah, that's the one," right?
Yeah.
That's
You should
been
listen
doing
to
it for
Force
me.
Losers
It's,
podcast.
mwah, it's good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll know characters. I don't know
Yeah.
actors. I don't know actors to save my life, but I'll know the characters.
Well, but give me this one. All right. So like, and I mean, even today. So I recently rewatched oh no, I didn't mention it. It was the same day I watched US Marshals. I don't know if we talked about that on camera, off cam, but I watched US Marshals and followed that up with Eraser, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
Really good movie, starring a guy opposite him that I was like, man, he looks so familiar. I don't know what he's from. Turns out he was in Cabin in the Woods as one of the bad guys. He was also the dad in Get Out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like age
Yeah.
has transformed you
Whitford.
so
He finds
much.
his way into the background of a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Josh from the West Wing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh from the West Wing. Yeah.
So with Ian Holm, give me some credit in that man is very different now. Like he
No,
looks
he's been old my entire life.
no, like but like me watching Ash in 2004 versus watching Bilbo like whenever I watch that, like that's a
you
very
watched
Probably
different
it
2004,
with
to
me.
be honest.
Yeah.
Those movies
No.
came out like
We
2001,
didn't go
2000,
see it.
2001.
No, I
2002.
didn't see Lord of the Rings until probably into the 2010s.
Yeah, you went with me to see The Hobbit.
You want to know how I watched Lord of the Rings for the earlier parts when it had actually come out and was popular? Was on the TV in the security station of the pawn shop my dad used to take me to when he would sell stuff he had stolen. So like I always used to see snippets of little hobbits running around the Shire and everything, and I'm like, what is this weird movie? Also, what are we doing here?
Meanwhile, we were indoctrinated with Lord of the Rings very
So-
young.
I had to enter a much healthier place of my life in order to sit down and watch that 7-hour film. But anyway,
It's only 4.
Ash,
I
yes.
need you to settle down, sir.
It definitely, that whole thing took me by surprise. I'm glad later films really made androids more important because that seemed like so out of left field for me.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
The milk.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah.
not the milk, but yeah. I can't speak highly of your chances, but you have my sympathies. Oh my god, that is just like one of my
He's
favorite
cold. He's cold.
lines.
It adds kind of like a new layer to like the terror that you feel watching that movie.
Yeah, like Ripley
Yeah,
in Aliens when she finds out that what's his name's an android, and she freaks out, and it's like, yeah, that's because this man caused a lot of damage to a lot of people. A lot of people killed.
And that was something I did enjoy was the care. And again, that's what some films in the sequels that have come after did. Like they picked up on something from the original and were like, hey, let's bring this back up. Let's reference this again and everything. And I really liked that staying power of her and androids because it also made her and Bishop's relationship like Alien 3 when like she takes him offline. Like that one for me was like, oh, like that's like turning R2-D2 off. Like I loved Bishop. Like so it's like to have that relationship reach that point. I don't think she cried over it, but definitely have a little bit more somber to her than she did in the cafeteria when they first met.
And if I may sing the praises of Prometheus and Covenant for a moment, I think
Idris Elba's in it.
Idris Elba is in it.
I mean, that is a big point. Yeah.
I really liked what Michael Fassbender did as David. I think he brought a really good.
prefer Walter.
Walter is also very good. That
I was going to
flute
say,
scene in Covenant.
which Fassbender gets the award for that one? That was
Both.
fun.
But yeah, like I really enjoy a creepy android, and I think Fassbender did a pretty good job of like the conniving boy.
Covenant did something right. It killed James Franco's character before it could ruin the movie.
And his mustache.
Yeah.
We need the applause thing. I need you to hit the applause button for that one.
Hang on,
Yeah,
hang on.
like-
Hang on. Is that it? Nope. Hang on.
Oh, bummer.
There we go.
Hey.
Oh, there you go.
I'm a
We finally
professional.
used
Yeah,
the
like
button.
I going into Covenant, I did not know. I saw James Franco and I was like, really?
Right. Ugh.
And then like I saw that scene, and I was like, good move.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah,
And
we
I
have
mean,
a movie.
they
how you
kept
deal
the
with that.
better half of that like comedic duo because Danny McBride was also in there, but he actually I thought was
Did a
pretty.
great job.
He did
was
a fantastic job.
Danny McBride is very strong by himself. I don't think he ever really needs any of like the typical actors that he's with. But like Land of the Lost, he is my favorite character in Land of the Lost with Will Ferrell. And normally I don't like Will Ferrell movies.
Same.
I think his character in Tropic Thunder.
Yes, Tropic Thunder.
That's a good one. All right. Well, we could talk 43 years probably about this film, the franchise, and the many other people that are or maybe aren't dead.
Ian Holm's dead.
Yeah,
Ian Holm is dead.
he is. Okay.
Ian Holm's
I was
dead.
very
Very
sad.
dead.
So I don't have
Dean Stanton's dead.
I don't
Yeah,
have to worry about not recognizing him in any future film.
Sigourney Weaver is still alive, right?
Thank God.
Yes.
And
Okay.
unfortunately
I think
for
Weaver,
John,
Scarrett,
Elijah Wood is
and whoever played Lambert are still alive, but everyone else
Don't
is
bring
dead.
that up. Why? I haven't
Wait.
thought about Elijah Wood in a long time. Don't bring that
Is he
up.
It's gonna happen whenever we talk about Lord of the Rings.
Look, there's two
he's gonna come
people.
up.
If I could give a good nerd herder punch to the face, it's Nicolas Cage and Elijah Wood. I'm just putting that
And I
out.
would give them
Choices.
both.
Can we see the pillow?
Huh?
Thanks.
Have you seen Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent,
I have not.
Not yet.
which features that pillow?
I would only
pillow's
watch
in it?
it for Pedro
Just the
Pascal
skull.
anyway.
Massive Talent is fantastic. It's
I'm
such a good
so
film.
glad to hear that. I haven't been
It's
able to go
fantastic.
see it because I have a anchor around my neck.
Oh my god, you are so dramatic.
Could almost describe it as some cement shoes around your feet.
This is bad comedy.
I'm done. I am so done. Sorry, Sean. I can show clips, and I actually remember I have them. You look so confused.
And
Fun fact:
I mean,
I thought that was like the end credits. It was like, no, we're done.
No, I was
like,
like,
it's
just
canceled.
end it there.
Like, you're getting
it's like,
played
did
off.
we poke the bear too hard? Did he cut us
Right.
off?
Right. No, I'm not Chris Ryan's. I won't do that. But sometimes I do remember that I have odd various things I could play.
Such as
You fool!
That clip's amazing.
All right.
Gilbert
He
Gottfried.
is
Oh
dead.
God,
He is
yes.
dead.
Gilbert
Another-
Gottfried is
That's
dead.
too soon.
Oh.
Oh gosh.
he's
You need
not
to
dead.
you need to add at the end of this when it's all said and done before you like publish it or whatever. You just need to like put an in memoriam of everybody that we've talked about this day.
Of everyone. Oh gosh,
Yeah.
we luckily don't have to put the Alien franchise in memoriam.
I think we do. Covenant really kind of
We-
slit its
maybe-
throat. So
Well, not so
I
much
think we're
as we
done.
should, but Disney now has the 20th Century Fox company who owns it,
really?
and
Yeah.
so
Oh,
Are they killing
Right.
Awakening then?
so I think they're
Kinda?
killing Awakening. I think there's something else in the works.
TV show.
Yeah, and it's like a little disconnect. It's very new. They're not trying to follow up much of what's been done. I mean, it's going to be in universe, but not necessarily a direct follow to anything. So who knows? We'll see where that goes. But in closing, I did want to ask a very important question to me because my love of aliens started with this film, and I'm just curious because it always happens. The comics, the books, and eventually the movies have pitted these two aliens together. And so I am curious, although we're talking about Alien, which team do you fall? Team Predator or Team Alien?
Mm.
I do like that Predator movie.
It could be about
Very good
movies.
movie.
It could be about the aliens individually, or whatever. However you want to mentally approach this, as Brad punches his mic in the face.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I had
I
to call
think-
it out.
I think Predator. I think it's got like the claws and the stuff, and it'll rip them apart.
Yes,
And I just like that movie.
It's also getting a new movie on Hulu August
Great.
15th. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Well, it's a prequel to Predators, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, prequel to everything. So it's set in uncolonized America. So it's going to be the Predator, hopefully not the pale Predator, hunting Native Americans. So It just-
Timely.
All right.
Very timely.
Oh,
I think Predator gets it because he's like it's like the whole idea of like them being hunters, right? They have they're thinking beyond the evolution cycle of the alien, right? So they're very one track. I got to do this and I got to replicate and I got to do that. Whereas Predators, they have the tools, they have the technology,
they have the technology.
they have yeah. There you go.
Also, the Batman versus Predator comics are really good.
Oh yes. There's
Didn't even know that was
also
a thing.
there's
No, neither did
several.
I. What?
There are several
Yeah, they're cool.
versus
I think
Predator.
the second one is where there's like some mob boss hires like 10 very strange hitmen to go after Batman, and the Predator's like picking them off to try and make sure that they don't get to Batman before he does, and it's cool. It's very cool.
Sounds
I
awesome.
I love the era of like obscure Predator because there's also like my favorite like Predator content. It's just because it's nostalgic to me. Is Predator Concrete Jungle? It's a video game.
Oh
for
yeah.
PlayStation 2.
With
Yeah, like-
with Dutch's
Oh,
brother.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're just like legit like cutting through gangsters at one point and every like. Oh my
I think
gosh,
I remember that.
it's
Yeah,
good
Concrete Jungle's
stuff.
amazing. It's like the heat wave in New York, isn't it?
Mhm.
And they're having the war. Yeah, no,
Back when that was an actual plot point for Predators.
Yeah.
Brad, what about you? Team Pred, Team Alien?
I mean, my heart says aliens. My mind says Predator.
I thought you were gonna say something else, but
my body. No.
Do it
No, 'cause,
now.
I mean, I feel like the safe bet would definitely be predators, just because they evolve in hunting tactics. I mean, they're smart enough to capture queens and put them on ice for future hunts and stuff like that. I would say I want aliens to win more, but I would say predator.
Yeah, I mean, once you reach the point where you're pets for the other species, I think they win a little
Yeah,
bit.
a little bit.
What about you?
I say, you know what? I think I'm team predators as well
Oh
because
man,
they're highly intelligent aliens. And number one, I
are
want
you
to
calling
know.
Are you calling Xenos dumb?
Yeah,
Xenomorphs are
they are
big
donkeys.
game. That's all they are.
Exactly.
Man,
It's like when you go to Africa to shoot at a lion.
Xenos only think about
Don't
one
do
thing,
that.
and it's disgusting.
Exactly.
I mean,
I mean,
I mean,
there's the metaphor. It's strange to end a podcast about the Alien film and franchise 43 years later with all
Yeah.
the praise for Predators, but
personally, I'm team Gary Busey.
Stop
yeah.
it.
But no,
yeah.
yeah, my loves for this franchise came from loving Predators first, and so yeah, like plus like I think it has more successful hits. I think Predator films have done right more than they have done wrong. And like I said, and I still stand by it. I love something about every one of these Alien movies, but I can also agree where some fall short of others. But the first one is definitely a masterpiece. Sean, you said it up top. You know, it's a nearly perfect film. It is one I would put up there. In that, like, if you want to know what it's like to, from beginning to end, have a unique and interesting and compelling experience, here's 2 hours for you. It just happens to have, as Brad and Kev came on to talk about at one point, one of the perfect sequels as well, and then some other sequels. And so I think if, first of all, if you haven't seen this, we spoiled a lot.
You should probably still go watch it though.
Ian Holmes is in this. I don't know if you know.
He was Bilbo Baggins.
Bilbo himself.
He's dead.
Bilbo Baggins is in this movie.
Exactly.
That would
Enjoying
be
his
horrible.
time.
He's hiding in the
That'd be
pipes.
horrible.
He's hiding in the pipes. But yes, hopefully you've seen it before this. If not, maybe we've made it more interesting.
Do we need to give spoiler warnings for 43-year-old movies?
You know, I do ask often, at what point? I know Nerd Herder is instituting the 1 week policy on Kenobi stuff. So basically, we won't be talking about it even after we see it. If you want to talk to us about it, though, we do have a spoiler chat in our Discord.
Let's talk about it now.
So
We can just talk about it now. I'll just give you 3
haven't
seconds.
touched it, John.
Wasn't it crazy when he
2, 1.
I will. And gone. And he's back.
Good.
But no, yes. So for us, we're literally right after this. Well, not right after, because we're going to chat with these cool people a little bit. But you don't get to hear that.
Behind the curtain.
But after the show, that's exactly where we're going, is to bask in the glory that is Kenobi.
Gonna bask in the mullet.
But yeah, at least Kenobi we know is under the spoiler umbrella, so we won't chat about episodes until they're a week out.
Until
But
43 years later.
43 years
Exactly.
later,
As
yes,
God intended.
when Ewan McGregor is the age of Alec Guinness, we
Hell
will
yeah.
talk about Kenobi. But no, thank you guys so much for joining us. I know you all are pod people, so starting with Brad, if you want to let the folks know where to find you and your content, shout it out.
We are the Force Losers podcast. You can find us anywhere that you can find a podcast, because Anchor is anywhere. Anchor is awesome like that.
It is.
And for the first time in a year, I started uploading to YouTube again.
Hey, attaboy.
Good Lord, I saw that and I cringed.
Oof.
Oh man.
Meanwhile, I can't stand taking a week off.
It's true.
Just know it pains me as much as it pains all of you lovely listeners. I know you just can't live without your Nerd Herder content. But no, if you want fun stuff in your ears, if you want unabashedly thoughtful and yet also ridiculous opinions, Force Losers has them in bulk. And so highly recommend you check out Brad and Kev.
Oh man, I think we just recorded episode 92.
Woo! Coming into the big
Lord.
numbers.
Getting up.
Oh yeah.
I don't even know where we're at.
39, it says in the top.
39, yeah.
What?
It says in
Is-
the top left-hand corner, it
39
says 39.
NerdyVerse.
No, well, but 39 NerdyVerse, we've got 100 and something Nerd Herder. Then we also have our Clone Wars rewatch. So we're probably near 200. I know we are, and this is a great plug. We are at 99 subscribers. So if you aren't subscribed to us here on Nerd Herder YouTube, do that.
I'm gonna unsubscribe.
And even if you see that 100, make it 101. Keep going until we get to 666 and then stop.
Nobody else can follow us after we reach that unholy number. No. Hey, Sean, where can people find you?
Yeah, so I'm one of the hosts of Blue Bantha Milk Co. Basically, anyway, like we're mostly on YouTube. We do movie scripts, Star Wars movies via AI. And also like little short things. So we've got a few projects in the pipeline. The one that's currently running is the Calrissian Chronicles. Our wonderful Chris Ryans does an incredible Lando impression. We write him with the AI a little monologue that he has to perform without having seen it before, and they're pretty amazing. One dropped this morning, episode 4, I believe, Trapped, where he's trapped in a one of his cape closets and tells a story. Which is pretty amazing. And we're currently working on episode 4.75. So it's a movie that fits between New Hope and Empire. The first half of that's done. It is pretty incredible. It's like if there was a Die Hard movie set in the Star Wars universe, but with a lot of very stupid characters and
So Die Hard.
yeah.
So
Nina from the holiday specials in it, Dexter Jetster, a few characters who have kind of originated in other AIs, and also Pride, Veers, Piet, and Hugs are the villains in it.
Hugs?
Hugs. And it's all written with AI, so it's pretty stupid and insane. And it's the first one that Chris has worked on, so he's been allowed to be let loose, and he's done some quite
the
incredible
latest
stuff.
edition in the Blue Bantha Milk Fridge.
Yes,
Chris Ryans.
If trust me, you will be crying laughing the entire time like we do.
Yeah,
It is
absolutely
amazing.
Some of the funniest stuff I've ever heard.
Also, wholesome people. So follow Blue Bantha over on the socials, Insta
And then
and
Matt is
Twitter.
there too.
Always enjoy what they bring. Definitely to our social interactions, and also just getting to hang out with you guys. Obviously in Discord, it's tons of fun. So you won't regret it. Blue Bantha Milk's awesome.
You might.
Probably not. If you've put up with this,
it depends on how well you get to know them.
Right. All of the quality on this screen is so much better than what we offer. Justin, what you got, buddy?
That is not true when it comes to me. Me and a friend of mine have a podcast that is on I would say a brief hiatus. It's a very long hiatus. It's Attempted Optimism podcast, and it's two guys that started talking about stuff when we were starting to lock down at the start of COVID, and so just talking about a whole bunch of different things and arguing about a whole bunch of other things, and a lot of it's on YouTube. So if you search Attempted Optimism podcast, you should find us. But we're also on Pod Stuff, where things are found for podcasts, and also SoundCloud somehow. I don't know.
SoundCloud?
I don't know. No idea. No idea. I don't. Listen. I just show up to the thing. I don't edit the videos. I don't upload the videos. But it probably was my fault that we ended up on SoundCloud somehow. But anyway, we're on a brief hiatus until we figure some stuff out, and then we'll eventually come back.
There's a baby involved, like stuff.
Yeah, babies, COVID, a whole bunch of other stuff. Hard to attempt optimism when all that's going on at the same time.
Fair, but when it's most important. So there you go. I just realized what your name on here was.
Really? You didn't know?
I don't read.
I didn't put it up there. It was just on there.
It was just there.
It was just there. Yeah.
Yeah, just happened. But that's yet another plug. There's so many visual things that happen here. Why it's great to check us out live every Friday at 9.
Just keep.
I'm just saying. Listen, the live shows are a lot of fun. We really enjoy them because it lets us connect with people we already enjoy.
You get to see what we cut out.
But we get to, right. We get to, there's a reason that before the live episodes, it was like 30, 40 minutes, and now it's like an hour and a half. Okay. But it's tons of fun because we have great people and great friends that we know we enjoy, but we get to have fun conversations and share with you, lovely listeners. So thank you for tuning in. Thanks to our patrons who pay for this. We're sorry, but manage your money better. I don't know, but while you are of poor judgment, we do appreciate you. In fact, well, Justin, you're one of them, and the fun thing is we've got all kinds of different perks. One of those is an exclusive channel on our Discord, but occasionally we just send gifts. I mean, you get a welcome package, but there's some cool new Nerd Herder keychains going out to our patrons here soon, and that's kind of things you get if you're a patron and if you're loose with your wallet. So there you go.
Oh, you get to show it. Dang.
All the stuff. Yeah. So check it out. There's all kinds of links in the description, and there's all kinds of ways to support us. If not patron, buy a shirt, buy some coffee. Send us some encouraging words. Send us some attempted optimism, if you will.
Branded.
But until next time, we hope that everybody has a good time, stays nerdy. Is that what we settled on as the thing?
I didn't like it. So
we don't have a good exit hook for this one. We got stay scruffy because obviously Nerd Herder, Wookie.
Stay scruffy is good.
Stay scruffy. Does it work for Nerd Herder?
Keep the live going and just workshop some stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My baby's teething quite loudly in another room, so I will have to go. But yeah, no, you guys just
know what?
Go for it. Yeah.
That's what it is.
Keep teething.
Keep teething.
Keep teething, babies.
Wait a minute. This is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.